on Facebook and YouTube. And I apologize on Facebook and YouTube on Tuesday because we didn't have I don't think the sound worked properly, so I apologize for that. So hopefully if you were watching live on Facebook and YouTube, you could follow what we were doing, because it was just like no sound. So sorry for that. We will work on some balance and some movement and a little bit more strength again today, as always we do on a Thursday morning. So let's go on the other camera. Find your comfortable space, taking your feet shoulder width apart. Just take a moment just to stand tall and have in mind that central axis. Again, really focus on this from the crown of the head through the center of the body, and just watch that we're not leaning back too much or leaning forwards too much, that you just have everything balanced on that center line. And it's going back to that, we've talked about it before, it's always good to revisit those 3 centers of gravity that we can focus on. So just below the belly button, and you can just put a little bit of, if it feels comfortable for you, just put a little bit of pressure there. Just gentle pressure below the belly button. Hopefully you've just not eaten your breakfast. And that's a place where you can feel, just as you follow the breath, you can feel the breath as you're breathing in. The pressure of the diaphragm moving down here will just gently push that area out. And as you're breathing out, your fingers should gently sink in again. So that's created by what we call that intra-abdominal pressure. The diaphragm moves down. Obviously we're not breathing into the stomach, but it creates that pressure which puts the pressure on the abdomen wall and the fascia here just to move forward. So I want you to think of that as the center of gravity of this pelvic bowl area in towards the spine. In Qigong, that is the lower dantian, and that is the point where we focus on all of our movements. So any of the arm movements we're doing, we're moving from this center first, and that is then creating that flow from the rest of the body. Really key to focus on moving from that center point there. But of course, what we want to do when we're moving from that center point is have the center of gravity of the chest and the torso balanced on top of that. So all too often we can be leaning back a little bit too much, so the weight moves backwards. So we're just bringing that center of gravity of the chest over the center of gravity of the lower dantian. And it's the middle dantian. And this is where, when we're working on all of these movements to open up the spine, we're getting this center of gravity in a good place, because if we're rounded here, everything shifts forwards. If we're too far back with the shoulders, if we pull our shoulders back too far, everything moves backwards. So really just work on getting that center of gravity of the torso balanced on top of or floating on top of your lower center of gravity. So again, you can do just that little bit of movement, just movement through the spine. Think of moving the spine, opening up the spine. And I notice when some of us are doing the knocking, and I do it myself, the head can tend to come forwards a little bit. Then we lose that rotation or optimal rotation here through that upper spine. So important just to really focus on center of gravity here. If you practice yoga, maybe think of heart center as well. And then that little idea of just gently nodding the head, freeing up this space here, the base of the skull. We can get a lot of tightness here. We can start to pull down here, or we can start to tuck the chin too much here. So just get that head balanced on top of the spine. And again, if the spine is here, it's very difficult to get the head balanced on top of the spine. So you really want to focus on lengthening here, lengthening up the spine, and then just balancing the head on top of the spine. And that's, I think, as we spoke about on Tuesday, is really good to focus on connecting to the ground through the feet. And not just on the surface, it's almost like going deeper down into the ground. It's almost like put your heels and your feet 6 inches into the ground. And lengthening up, connecting to the sky through the crown of the head. And that means we can have a strong spine, but we're not rigid, we're not forcing everything. We can have that soft front of the body. We can relax our face, we can soften our chest a little bit, soften our belly a little bit. And once we've got those three centers of gravity balanced, start moving from our lower center of gravity, our lower dantian, and just gently go into knocking. And if you get that idea of movement from the center, that upper body stays tall and lengthened upwards, but it also relaxes the shoulders. You don't have to do any work with the arms. The head just follows. You can breathe easy. And you can let the elbows bend. And then you're just tapping your back and your belly. Least amount of effort. Here's the engine. The engine is down here, driving from the center. Upper body is just following. You can breathe easy. There's no tension in the breath. Lifting from the crown, keeping tall through the spine. Then we're just going to bring our arm that swings across the front just to tap just by the collarbone. So we're just tapping on that long point. And here you may just feel as if you want to take a slightly fuller breath. It's fine to take a slightly fuller breath. Might just feel good or not. You might just want to continue breathing light and soft. Just go with what feels intuitive to you. But because we're activating that long meridian point, which really focuses on the breath, you might just want to take that fuller breath. Still working from that center point. So all we're doing is bending the elbows and just letting that arm just tap that long point, that pressure point. Back now to back and belly. Gradually slowing it down into waterways. Now we add that bit of resistance. So go as slow as you can. Almost imagine that you're watching like a slow motion movie. Watch that you're not leaning forwards here. Still keep tall through the spine. You can drop a little bit lower, but drop a little bit lower in the knees. Still keep lifting and lengthening through the spine. Still keep moving from the center. Moving from the hips and the waist. Deliberately slowing it down. Imagine just moving the air around you, just slowly moving that air around you. There's that little bit of resistance. And then take a rest. Stand tall again. See what that feels like now. We've done that movement through the spine, energize through the spine, lifting tall. Focus on those 3 centers of gravity. It's almost like they're hovering, they're floating over each other. Quite often people will talk about stacking the body, which is fine, that's absolutely fine, but stacking almost sounds like, oh, I'm just going to stack everything on top of each other, and it sort of compresses what's underneath it. If you think about things floating, it's almost like planets hovering, floating, and that connection, that gravitational pull between those 3 centers of gravity. It's a lovely way to explore that. Whatever you're doing, whether you're walking, running, squatting, all of those things, is keep that alignment, but not a rigid alignment between those 3 points. They're literally just hovering, floating, connecting to each other. Let's do dog wags the tail. And again, I really want to focus on, first of all, moving here. You might want to go a little bit wider on the feet. Sometimes it's nicer to move wider on the feet. The hips move. Now let's get this movement so the hips are moving and the spine stays balanced on top. So as I'm moving the hips, watch that I'm not doing this. I'm not leaning side to side. The spine is literally balancing on top of the hips. There's the hips are staying parallel to the ground. So you're bending the knee a little bit, bending that knee as you move to that side, bending that knee as you move to that side. Keep that nice and strong. So that's the start. Get this movement again from the center, and then you can release the spine so that as that hip goes that way, everything follows. So I'm not moving my elbows. That's not an elbow, that's a shoulder. I'm not moving my shoulders. I'm not moving my head. I'm moving my hips, and then everything just follows. So it just ripples up the spine. Again, watch that you're not doing this, because I'm seeing a few of you on Zoom doing this. So you're dropping the hip, you're dropping the hip. Keep the pelvis parallel. There's nothing wrong in that. It's a nice little movement. It's a good exercise to work the hips. Keep the hips parallel to the ground, and then free up the upper body, free up the spine, because we want to get that movement through the spine. Even if it's a really small movement, we're working on the spine, we're working on that lateral flexion of the spine. See if you can just let the head follow as well. And you can work your way up. You can think lower spine, lower back, a little bit of movement there, working through the upper back, working through the neck and the head. Dog wags the tail. Good. Breathing easy in and out through the nose. Take a rest. Again, this 3-dimensional work that we're doing on the spine is, I know we focus on it a lot, but it's so key to how we move, because even though when we're moving, when we step, we don't think, oh, I'm moving like this, but very minutely micro movements throughout the body. As you step and shift the weight onto one side, you are going to get a little bit of shift. As you step and shift the weight onto the other side, you're going to get a little bit of shift. And that's what keeps you moving forwards with that sort of like flow element. Rather than if everything's tight, you get that, it's almost like you get that stuck feeling, that heavy feeling. So you want to get that flow of movement through the spine, because the shoulders, the legs and everything are obviously connected to the spine. And then that final one on the spine is spinal cord breathing. What we'll do with the spinal cord breathing this time is when we're extending, I want you to extend the back of the neck. So it's almost like you're lifting, rather than looking up, is you're lifting the base of the neck, or the base of the skull up. So we get that lengthening through the neck here. And then when we curl under, you can tuck the chin as well. So just lengthen the neck out. Open the chest, open the front of the chest. Tuck the pelvis underneath. Get that movement through the pelvis. It's almost like the pelvis is starting the movement again. and the spine is following. Tuck the pelvis underneath, and we come up to a little curl into a little ball. Tilt the pelvis so you're spilling out the front of the pelvis. Everything follows. Lengthen the neck. And make this a steady, slow, easeful movement. So don't think of it as a forced stretch. Again, think of a cat stretch, how a cat stretches. It's called cat-cow if you're doing this on the floor in yoga. So think about how an animal moves rather than just pulling or overstretching the body or overreaching. Do a couple more. And then take a rest. Standing tall again. See how you feel after that movement through the spine there. And then we can just give ourselves a gentle shake out. So every morning, even if I just do 2 or 3 of those are the movements that I will do. Rotation of the spine, flexion and extension, lateral flexion. It's always a very, very simple way of getting some movement through that spine. And then a little bit of a shake. And just shaking the legs out a bit. You can tap the heels into the floor. If you want to do a cleansing and clearing breath, you can take a nice full breath in. And just let go. See if we can free up the base of the skull again and the shoulders. Good, and then just slow it down a little bit, slow it down, palms facing forwards, shoulders open. Let's focus on balance. So again, really important that we maintain balance, and particularly as we're getting older, it's really essential that we practice our balance, because it's very easy to lose balance a little bit, falling, not a great thing to do. So let's start with balancing on our right leg. I'm going to mirror you, and we're just going to swing our left leg and lower to the ground. Then we're going to do the same thing, balance on your left leg, so stable on your left leg. Swing the right leg lower to the ground, and then just get into that swing. So you're just freeing up that swing leg. Have in mind every single time you stabilize first, so that you know you're supported on that standing leg, and then you know that free leg doesn't have to do anything. So if you do it slowly, if you really need to talk to your body, stabilize first, mobilize, swing, and then once you've got into that habit, your body will know automatically, right, I need to stabilize here, and then I can swing the opposite leg. And the other thing to remember all the time when we're balancing is remember that earth-sky connection. So I'm connected to the ground, I'm connected to the sky. That really helps, using that upper body to lengthen up. Because if we just lean back, you can fall over. If we lean forwards, it's more easy to lose your balance. So earth, sky, free up that swing leg. Earth, sky. Shoulders can stay relaxed. Breath can be relaxed. And then give it a little bit of a shake out. Again, just feel the floor evenly between both sides. Connect to the ground, connect to the earth, connect to the sky. We'll do a little bit of flying. So breathing in. Elbows soft, breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Now find your rhythm, so really focus on the breath guiding the movement. Don't have to follow me or anybody else on the screen. Body expanding as you're breathing in, even sensing that feeling of standing a little bit taller as you're breathing in, as you're flying high, breathing in. And then when you're ready, we'll just do a weight shift towards the left. You just peel that right heel off the ground. And then we shift the weight the opposite side. So again, you focus on that standing leg, supporting on the standing leg. So really give your body time to stabilize on that standing leg so you can just peel the heel, least amount of weight through that opposite side. And what's nice about adding the flying, the arms, is again, is you're focusing on lifting up and lengthening as you're balancing. So it gives you that focus of upwards, of lengthening up, energy going upwards. And then when you feel confident in that, if you feel confident in that, balance, and then just bending the knee, just lifting the leg, and then slowly down, ball of the foot, heel of the foot, shift the weight to that side, lift the knee. Really stay in control as you step down, really slow. It's easy just to crash down, it's easy just to drop down, it's easy to do that. It's very easy to do that. But just keep it nice and slow, the slower you can, soft landing. Standing tall and lengthening up. Breathing easy, keep that breath smooth. Lengthening the spine as you breathe in. Let's do one more on each side. And then take a rest. Good. Let's stay with the idea of shifting weight. So we're not just shifting the weight side to side now. We're going to shift the weight. We're going to move that center of gravity forwards. So we're going to move from the hips and the waist, move the center of gravity forwards with a step, and it's a slight step out. Hip goes with it, so that hip leads, shoulder and arm follow. And I want you to get that rotation and the rhythm of the movement. So opposite side step, shift the weight forward, hip leads, shoulders and arms follow. So step, hip, lengthen up. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to show you from the side. Keep doing it from the front because it's not step, arm up. So, because if you do that, you can lean back. So it's step and I'm rotating. So see how I'm now rotating towards the camera there as I step forward. So really emphasize that hip, shoulder, rotate. Rotate through the spine. Step, hip, shoulder. Step. And then if you're getting comfortable with that, you can just, as you step, you can lift that back foot off the floor. You can just bend that heel, or bend the knee a little bit. And then step. So you've got your center of gravity forwards, not overreaching. Find that nice rhythm. Couple more. Good. And take a rest there. And just finish with pulling down the heavens, pulling down the sky, breathing in. Breathing out. And then on the last one, we'll just press the palms together at the top, bending the elbows, and then just brushing down the body. Calming up the center and giving your belly a little rub there. Brilliant. Thank you very much. It's good just to go back to some of that basic stuff again. It's always good to revisit the basic things of that balance. Go think about that as you're working through today, just those 3 centers of gravity. I know it's gone 8:30. I just want to share some quick dates with you before we finish. We've got Phil, got his name right. We've got Phil Young, who will be doing a free lunch and learn on the 3rd, is it the 3rd of November? Friday the 3rd of November. We'll do that between 2 and 3. I'll get you sign-ups out for that very shortly, but put that date in your diary, make a note of that. On the, I think it's the 18th of November, so Saturday the 18th of November, I'm going to do an Unlock the Power of the Breath because we haven't done one of those, so we'll do an hour's class of more stuff like this, a little bit more breath work on that. So that's 2 till 3 p.m. UK time on Saturday the 18th of November. And what I do want to do, and we can try it, let's see how it works, because I know we talked about this within the Zoom group, from the 6th of November, which is a Monday. Let's do these classes on a Monday and a Wednesday. So same time, Monday and a Wednesday. I think it would be good to do for the Zoom group, the 15-minute pre-chat on the Wednesday, just so it's midweek, because I always think it's good to do it most probably on the second one. So we'll have a little go with that. We'll play with that up to Christmas. If we prefer to go back to the Tuesdays and the Thursdays, we can always open that up. But it just means that when I'm doing sort of like a series of Thursdays, usually I'm out. I know it's great, we can bring other people in, but then I am only doing 1 session a week. We can still bring other people in on those Mondays and Wednesdays as well, as and when, just to, you want a break from me talking at you for 30 minutes. So that's the plan. If you've got any questions on that, do feel free to give me a shout. And I will catch up with you next Tuesday. So we're still next Tuesday for our 50-minute catch up for the Zoom guys and for the 8 o'clock class on Tuesday. So thanks for your time. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.